It's Thanksgiving. We are gonna have a good time with the turkey, mashed potatoes, we are gonna have a good time with the turkey, mashed potatoes, it's Thanksgiving, it's Thanksgiving.
It does get in your head, doesn't it? Nicole Westbrook, it's Thanksgiving, the official Dan O'Donnell Show Thanksgiving theme song. Welcome to the Tuesday edition. Wherever you go this Thanksgiving, whatever you do, Children's Wisconsin, formerly known as Children's Hospital Hopes, you under no circumstances have a Thanksgiving picnic. I know. I don't want to hear any comments from the peanut gallery. Oh, wait. Children's Hospital doesn't want you to use that phrase either. Hip, hip, hooray. We're going to have a fun segment to start the show. Oh, wait. That phrase is banned too. We have obtained here on the Dan O'Donnell Show Words Matter, a handout from a recent DEI training session at Children's Wisconsin that has a list of banned words, or at least words that Children's Wisconsin would strongly encourage its employees not to use. Among those words, angry, inner city, articulate, no can do, long time no see, and perhaps most puzzling of all, brown bag. I don't know if this is just a complicated ploy to get employees to use the cafeteria as opposed to bringing their own brown bag lunches, but this is a very real list of words that Children's Wisconsin now finds patently offensive. We will go through them in just a second. First, though, the AdventNews.com talk and text line, 414-799-1130. You can reach us toll-free, 1-800-838-9476. Email me, dod@iheartmedia.com. Follow me on Twitter /X at Dan O'Donnell Show, where we are streaming live right now via the DanoCam. Also streaming on Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show, where you can interact, post comments at YouTube.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. Plenty of ways to watch, plenty of ways to listen via the iHeartRadio app, where we do ask that if you enjoy the program, you subscribe to us, Dan O'Donnell Show on iHeartRadio, as well as some of our other podcasts, including Forgotten History with Dan O'Donnell and The Difference, a podcast about politics and economics that I host with Dave Spano of Annex Wealth Management. According to this handout, Children's Wisconsin has values of collaboration, integrity, and health, which call us to honor and respect diverse backgrounds, perspectives, and styles. We each must work to cultivate a sense of belonging at Children's through connection, appreciation, respect, and care for all staff, providers, leaders, patients, their families, clients, and members. To accomplish this, we must be willing to listen to each other and have dialogue about things that detract from this desired experience, with the goal of increasing understanding and eliminating offense. Language works best when it brings as many people into communication with each other. If we know by using certain language, we are disinviting or alienating certain other negative or certain people from the conversations, the language is not doing its job. There are certain words that can sometimes trigger trauma, alienate, make a person feel disrespectful, or cause other negative reactions due to previous lived experiences, historical racism, sexism, or heterosexism. The context in which these words are used must always be examined, as all of these words on their own are not microaggressions. Dialogue, if offense is perceived, will be necessary so that the parties come to a level of understanding about why offense was taken with the word or statement that was used. Disclaimer. Some of the words may be offensive to read, but the goal of this document is to start dialogue and increase understanding so that as an organization, we are working to decrease bias, microaggressions, and use of offensive language. The list of terms here is not all inclusive. Socially responsible language is in constant evolution. Appropriate and inappropriate language changes frequently. If uncertain about the use of specific language or terms, it is always appropriate to just ask the person their preference on how they would like to be referred or if the language being used is offensive. Questions may be directed to the ID&E department at ide@childrenswi.org. This was last updated September of 2023. It was given out as part of a handout on DEI training about a week or two ago. Now, some of the offensive language is patently offensive. They include slang terms for people of minority races, Black people, Hispanic, Asian Pacific Islanders that are, frankly, obviously offensive. For gay people as well, words that are obviously offensive. I don't think anybody in polite conversation would ever actually consider using them. I can't imagine a pediatrician at Children's Hospital will go into a patient's room and start using slurs for gay people. I'm just going to give the basic level of trust here to the fine men and women who work at Children's Hospital. The nurses aren't going around, I'm just going to take a wild guess, using racial slurs. So a lot of this is sort of unnecessary. Everybody understands that old-timey words and obvious slurs for people are unacceptable. But how exactly is the word picnic racist? We should play a different variation of Guess What's Racist, where you have to guess why Children's Wisconsin believes a totally benign word is now horribly, offensively racist. A picnic. Here's the explanation of the origin of the word picnic. Although not taught in American learning institutions and literature, it is noted in most Black history professional circles and literature that the origin of the term picnic derives from the acts of lynching African Americans. The word picnic is rooted in the whole theme of pick a N-word. This is where individuals would pick a Black person to lynch and make this into a family gathering. There would be music and a picnic. Nick being the white acronym for the N-word. Not a single word of that is true. It took me 5 seconds to do a Google search. The Oxford English Dictionary has the word picnic of either French and perhaps borrowing somewhat from German etymology. The earliest English citation, 1748, from Lord Chesterfield, who associates a picnic with, not lynching, but card playing, drinking, and conversation. Around 1800, Cornelia Knight spelled the word as pique-nique, describing her travels in France. The French word pique-nique is based on the verb piquer, which means to pick, peck, or nab. And the rhyming addition nique, which means thing of little importance, bagatelle, or trifle, makes much more sense than pick a Black person to lynch, does it not? To peck at a trifle. In other words, to eat a small little thing as you would on a picnic, which has nothing to do with lynching or slavery or even America. It's French. French. You got a problem with a picnic? Talk to the French. You know who doesn't have a problem with picnics, incidentally? Children's Wisconsin, which as recently as this summer held a family picnic in its Northwoods area and has on its Facebook page a Madison and Baraboo area family foster kids picnic. In fact, if you go to the Children's Wisconsin Facebook page right now, there are no fewer than about 20 mentions of various picnics that Children's Wisconsin has hosted over the past couple of years. But picnic is suddenly, according to the DEI department, horribly racist. I actually emailed Children's Wisconsin and asked for comment on this, and also asked if they would be renaming or canceling altogether the various family picnics that they host. In fact, right now, on the official Children's Wisconsin website, they have safety tips for summer picnics. Does this mean that Children's Wisconsin itself is endorsing the lynching of black people? I don't know, but it's certainly possible. I'm kidding. Obviously, they don't. This is the Rush Limbaugh style of illustrating absurdity by being absurd. And frankly, there is nothing more absurd than some of these phrases. Hip, hip, hooray is another one. The origin, Children's says, of this term is a bit muddled, but it's thought to have derived from the anti-Semitic chant Hep Hep. This was a rallying cry to attack Jewish people in and around the German Confederacy in 1819 during what came to be known as the Hep Hep riots. At some point, Hep Hep became Hip Hip, and hooray was added to the end. What to say instead? Hooray! Only the hip hip part is problematic, or yay, or bravo. Guess what? Hip hip hooray has absolutely nothing to do with the Hep Hep riots of 1819. In fact, this has been widely debunked. Again, 5-second Google search at about 7:30 this morning discovered this for me. The earliest use of the phrase appears to be in 18th century or early 19th century England. Hip, or hip hip, was a call to get people's attention. Like you would say, hey, hey. In America, we say, hey, hey, everybody. They would say, hip, may I have your attention? It was a call to a toast. So when the Lord at his fancy banquet would want to toast his guest, he would say, hip, hip. Hooray was added later. By 1813, again, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, hip, hip had reached its modern form, hip, hip, hurrah. Now you'll notice that year, 1813. The Hep Hep riots were 6 years later in 1819. In fact, there was a linguist who did a study of this and said, is this actually anti-Semitic to say Hep Hep? Is hip hip hooray actually anti-Semitic? He found no. The idea that it was is traced to a single newspaper article from weeks after the Hep Hep riot in 1819, and this has sort of been widely debunked. No matter, according to patently false linguistics and etymology, Children's Wisconsin believes totally benign words like picnic and hip hip hooray are offensive. So too, and if this is making you angry, folks, I know people, I always react by laughing at the idiocy of liberalism. Some people are angry. I am telling you folks, don't be angry. You know why? Because the word angry is also banned by Children's Wisconsin. The origin, according to Children's, the word angry is a sensitive word when attached to people of color and or women. For example, when you attach it to a woman or a black woman specifically, it has a whole other depth of meaning. It is saying, if you elevate your voice or argue a different point of view, no, don't be passionate. No, don't be excited. Don't be concerned. Label, she's just an angry black woman or black man. This same expectation or depiction is not applied to individuals who are white. White people can't be angry? Is this, I thought whiteness was rooted in anger and fragility and rage. I thought when our whiteness was challenged, we get angry. Same people saying this. There's a connotation. If you say someone who is angry, it's racist, you see. Angry. The word angry is now racist. Here's another one. The Peanut Gallery. This one actually does have a grain of truth. In the 19th century, according to this handout from Children's Wisconsin, in the vaudeville era, the Peanut Gallery was the cheapest section of seats with the worst view. Peanuts were sold at these shows, and sometimes people seated in the cheaper seats would throw peanuts at unpopular performers. Often, the Peanut Gallery was largely occupied by black theater goers. If the term isn't racist, it's classist at the very least, suggesting those who sit in the cheapest section were ill-informed and gave unwarranted criticism. And vaudeville itself certainly had some racist elements. It developed from minstrel shows and often featured caricatures of black people portrayed by white actors in blackface. What to say instead? Hecklers. Peanut Gallery. Now, this is true that the Peanut Gallery was the cheap seats in vaudeville. It had nothing to do with race. And even Children's Wisconsin's DEI person who wrote this handout seems to acknowledge this. But it's classist to say, no, this had to do with people throwing peanuts at the performers. The Peanut Gallery has nothing. And the other thing about this is, even if words originate from what we would, or what crazy leftists would consider problematic origins, how many people knew until I just told you where the term Peanut Gallery originated? Not many. In fact, it didn't get popular until the radio-turned-TV show Howdy Doody, which premiered in the 1940s. The Peanut Gallery, it wasn't a big thing until Howdy Doody called his audience of kids the Peanut Gallery. And from there, obviously with the power of radio and television, the term spread, and it became very popular in the 1950s. But the point is that even if something derives from something that was of questionable origins, does it still have that connotation today, unless someone is looking to be offended by something that is totally benign? When we come back, more benign phrases that Children's Wisconsin now finds deeply problematic. Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. Everybody loves this month. Thanksgiving, right? But don't forget Black Friday. It's the time of the year where you can get some amazing deals. Well, at the Lynch family of dealerships, they've got Black Friday savings all month long. Lynch has restocked its inventory so you can shop over 800 vehicles either on the ground or online at shoplynch.com. They've got trucks, cars, SUVs for the family, but the best part is there's no need to wait for hours in line or to put yourself in danger at a department store or big box store, because the Lynch family has your back. Black Friday savings all month long. Plus, you get your windshield and paint protected to get ready for those brutal winter months coming up. And that's why I highly recommend the Lynch family of dealerships. Best place to start shopping right now, shoplynch.com. That's shoplynch.com.
Headed out to deer hunt? Make CWD testing part of your plan this season. Deer hunters in Wisconsin play an essential role in keeping the herd healthy by testing their deer for CWD. Test results help the Wisconsin DNR track CWD across the state. Submitting a test is quick, free, and can be done by any of our CWD sampling sites throughout the state. To find a sampling site near you, visit dnr.wi.gov and search CWD sampling.
Bob Dolan here for injury attorneys Pasternak and Zergabel, recognized as two of Wisconsin's best injury attorneys. Pasternak and Zergabel's extraordinary work and results are something I and other clients have known for years. Whether you're the victim of a car accident like I was, or the victim of a dangerous product like asbestos, you need to contact Pasternak and Zergabel. See their website at injurywisconsin.com, injurywisconsin.com, for award-winning personal injury attorneys Pasternak and Zergabel.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GAWon'tWait.com.
Classical conservatism. Contemporary style. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
I think producer Dave picked this bumper music selection on purpose. It is Changes by the late, great Tupac Shakur. Children's Wisconsin is literally making changes to our language. For those who think, this isn't a big deal, this is just some woke idiot, some woke moron. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Moron is also on the list of banned phrases. Did you know moron had a specific definition in the early days of psychology? I did not. I just assumed it was one of those words that kind of derived from a different language or other words. I mean, the study of etymology, where words come from, is absolutely fascinating. The DEI department, or its ID&E, Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity at Children's Wisconsin, they are no linguists, let alone cunning linguists. They are morons. May I say that? Because they got the origins of picnic, hip, hip, hooray, and I'm going to say they got peanut gallery half right. And angry. You can't say angry, at least to a woman or person of color. Now, I will say this. The worst thing you can possibly say to your wife during a fight is, "Why are you so angry?" Or, "Calm down." I suggest instead playing the 2017 Taylor Swift hit, "You Need to Calm Down," as your wife rages at you for not doing the dishes. This is from a handout that I have obtained from a recent DEI seminar for Children's Wisconsin employees, and it is every bit as ridiculous as you think it is. They have actually come up with a list of banned words or phrases, like tipping point. Its meaning, a point of no return. Origin. In the middle of the 20th century, the term tipping point became synonymous with white flight. As neighborhoods started to desegregate, white people reached a tipping point where they would think there were too many black people present within their communities and would move. Alternatives. Critical point. Turning point. Point of no return. Would it surprise you to learn that they have no earthly idea where tipping point came from either? The phrase was first used in sociology by Morton Grodzins when he adopted the phrase from physics, where it referred to adding a small amount of weight to a balanced object until the additional weight caused the object to suddenly and completely topple, or tip. Now, Grodzins did, in fact, study the concept of white flight in the early 1960s, but he got the term tipping point from physics. It's literally a point at which things will topple over. You break it down to its elements. It is a point where something will tip. One wonders whether any of these DEI people at Children's Wisconsin has ever played the game Jenga, or if that is simply too racist. Hold down the fort is another banned phrase. Origin. It stems from settlers in North America building forts and guarding them against Native American intruders. Alternatives. Take charge, take care of, keep watch. Did early American settlers only build forts to guard against Native American incursions? No. They guarded against other countries' incursions. Forts are a well-known military thing. A fort can be anywhere. Holding down the fort does not necessarily represent a callback, a hearkening back to the frontier days. It, I think, in American vernacular probably does. When people think of a fort, I think of the old TV show F Troop, right? But you think of, Fort Wilderness or whatever, Davy Crockett and the like, holding down the fort. Another one that is, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of floored by this one. Brown bag. A brown bag lunch or a brown bag meeting. It's pretty innocuous, right? Who doesn't take their lunch to work or to school in a brown bag? If you don't have a He-Man lunchbox, chances are you've got a brown paper bag. Origin. Within the black community, colorism is a significant problem that stems from slavery. Many slave owners raped and enslaved women, producing biracial offspring of a lighter complexion. Slave owners gave preferential treatment to those whose complexion was a lighter brown, and often their unclaimed children. A brown bag custom began in the 20th century, where a brown paper bag was placed at event entrances or merely held up to a person of color. If their skin color was darker than the bag, they were not permitted to enter or participate. An alternative to brown bag meeting, lunch and learn. Honestly, folks, I have never heard of the brown bag test until today, until I first got my hands on this list. I have never heard of that in my entire life. Now, did it happen? Probably. Does anyone at all, outside of a DEI instructor, make that connection? Or when you think of a brown bag, do you just think of the color of the bag? Other banned phrases and words include articulate. Origin. When used in reference to people of color, it sounds as though you are saying, this person shouldn't speak well, but to my surprise, they do. Or, they are well-spoken for someone of their race. When you use the word articulate, you're automatically saying the opposite, that you were guessing or assuming a different person will present to you. It's like this idea of the black unicorn. Whoa, you're diverse and smart. Great schools. How could this be? Is it just me, or are these origins not actually origins, and B, sound like they're written by an 8th grader? This is a real sentence by an alleged professional at Children's Wisconsin. It's let's see, where does it? It's like this idea of the black unicorn. That's not how a professional should write. But you should say instead, your speech really resonated with me. So you can't use the word articulate. I did reach out for Children's Wisconsin seeking comment. We'll get to that and much more when the Dan O'Donnell Show returns.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services, and I'm so proud to be a father, a husband, an entrepreneur, a Christian, and an American. My wife Amy and I did our best to educate our children about our reasons for embracing traditional values. This summer, Amy and I became empty nesters, and now our young adults are in the real world with the American dream in their heads, their hearts, and soon it will be in their hands to share with others. God is good. Marriage Marriage and children are a blessing. Capitalism works, and America is grand. She is rich with beautiful places to explore. She's a melting pot of beautiful people. Diverse? Yes. But we are still blessed to have so much in common. Ignore the politicians and the media who sow seeds of hate. Let's embrace the wonders of life, liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness in America. Join me in discovering the wonders of nature and the wonders of America.
It's This Week with Annex Wealth Management. Dan O'Donnell alongside the president and CEO of Annex, Dave Spano. It is Thanksgiving week, Dave, and this week we're thankful for markets reacting positively to the Fed's rate hike pause.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's lots to be thankful for. That is one of them. The fact that inflation has indeed slowed down from where it was a year ago at 9% clip, that has allowed the Fed to take a look at the data and say, can we get to the end of the rate hiking cycle? That is certainly the consensus across most of the economists. In fact, Dan, they're starting to talk about rate cuts in 2024, perhaps before the election. And so we're starting to see some really good news. You think about the other things that we can be thankful for. Of course, not only slowing inflation, but the GDP numbers, again, are positive. That suggests that consumers are still spending. That is good news because that keeps you out of a recession when the GDP number is positive. And lastly, I'd like to say that I'm thankful for the flexibility of our relationship, the fact that we can go into portfolios and make changes, and the flexibility of the waistband on my pants after the feast.
Amen to that, my friend. And I am so thankful to do this segment, our podcast, our weekly chats with you. It is a great relationship, not only that you have with your clients, but that we here at the Dan O'Donnell Show have with you at Annex. And a reminder to always know what you own and why you own it, because even as there is a lot of good news, there's also uncertainty ahead. Head to annexwealth.com for your free wealth metric. It's a review of your portfolio available only at annexwealth.com. For Dave Spano, the president and CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. Thanks for listening to This Week with Annex Wealth Management, and happy Thanksgiving.
It was a doozy, all right. Apparently, things got a little out of hand, as evidenced by the job description.
Repair heel marks on conference table.
You get the picture. Office party, a few too many drinks, and a gal who felt compelled to use the top of the conference table as a dance floor. And as you expected, we showed up on site and made that tabletop as good as new. By golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com. Well, if you haven't heard me bragging by now, we're darn good. Actually, my dad has no qualms about saying we're the best. And if you're skeptical, I understand. But all you have to do is go to MullallyFinishing.com to learn why we're great at what we do and see lots of before and after photos that show off our impressive work. So if you're looking for a name you can trust, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. MULLALY finishing.com.
Set your game plan for a new baseball season with the 2024 Brewers 4-Pack. Get yours by November 27th and you'll score an extra Brewers game for free. Find the right plan today at brewers.com/4packs.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. There are a lot of great dads out there. Sometimes those dads get divorced. For more than 30 years, we have represented men in divorce, confronting the pitfalls that could devastate your finances or harm your family relationships. While every situation is different, our goal is to get the best outcome for you and your kids. Visit CordellCordell.com to take the first step.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Milwaukee attorneys. 111 East Kilbourne Avenue, Suite 1650, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202.
Need life insurance but have diabetes, high blood pressure, or on anxiety meds? If you're a 50-year-old male, even porky, or with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of life insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. For affordable term life insurance, call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013. Or visit BigLou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. 800-444-2013.
loan.
Get ready, Wisconsin. It's Medicare annual enrollment period. So why not make enrolling easier with United Healthcare? Whether you choose our online tools or over-the-phone support, United Healthcare will help you compare options so you can choose a plan with confidence. This is Medicare made for Wisconsin. Trusted everywhere. Explore our wide range of plans by calling United Healthcare today at 1-855-MEET-UHC. That's 1-855-MEET-UHC. Annual enrollment begins October 15th and ends December 7th, so call today.
Hospitalized medicine doesn't want you dead. Unfortunately, they also don't want you healthfully out of the profit matrix. At Total Health, our goal is to restore health so you don't need treatment. It's not theory. Relativity equals expertise plus execution. TotalHealthInc.com.
Tour de force of truth. Sometimes that truth is utterly hilarious, like what Children's Wisconsin has become. Can't say the word angry. Can't say the word picnic. Can't say hip, hip, hooray. We have obtained a list of words that a recent training seminar through a handout that we have obtained has deemed to be too problematic for employees to use. Now, this morning, before going on the air, I both called and emailed Children's Wisconsin trying to get someone to comment on this. And here's the email I wrote. Hi there. My name is Dan O'Donnell with News Talk 1130 WISN, and I have a few questions about a recent diversity, equity, inclusion seminar that included the attached handout regarding offensive words. Specifically, at least two of the reasons given for words being offensive are flatly incorrect. Picnic did not, as asserted in the handout, originate with the lynching of Black Americans. It is an English adaptation of the French phrase pique-nique, roughly translated to pick or peck at something of little importance, i.e. a snack or lunch. Hip hip hooray did not originate with the Hep Hep riots in Germany. In fact, this has been widely debunked as it could be traced only to a single newspaper article weeks after the riot. It actually derives from an English phrase to get people's attention, and hip hip was first written down in 1790, nearly 20 years before the riots in Germany. Given this, does Children's have any plans to further update its offensive words list? Also, why is Children's policing its employees' use of inoffensive language? Are there penalties for using any of the included words or phrases? Lastly, will Children's Wisconsin be canceling or renaming its Picnic in the Park event in Rhinelander or the Madison and Baraboo area Foster Family Picnic? I then included links to both events. Thank you for your response to this email, which I will use in any reporting I do on this list. Sincerely, Dan O'Donnell. For those wondering why this is important, why I've spent so much time on this, A, I find it hilarious, and I hope you do too. B, the use of language is and has always been a very, very powerful tool for controlling the narrative and for controlling the perception of reality. Here's a classic example from just a couple of years ago. What is an insurrection? Seriously, what is it? What is the definition of an insurrection? A violent uprising against an authority or government? It's probably it, right? Would you not consider, therefore, what has been going on with the pro-Palestinian riots of the past couple of weeks to be an insurrection? After all, there was an attempt to literally break down the White House fence. It was smeared with red paint. Monuments in a nearby park were defaced. Would that not be an uprising against the government because of a stated government position, Biden's support for the Israeli government in its war against Hamas? Is that not an insurrection? Was January 6th an insurrection? An act or instance of revolting against civil authority or an established government, or was it a riot? Was it a demonstration that turned ugly, turned violent? Was it to borrow a popular phrase from CNN to describe the riots in Kenosha, a fiery but mostly peaceful protest? How we use the word insurrection and insurrectionist matters. Here's another one: genocide. Genocide means to attempt to exterminate an entire race or nation of people, right? Everybody understands that. The most well-known attempted genocide, the most recent one, was in Rwanda in 1994, the Hutus and the Tutsis. But obviously, the Holocaust, the Hitler final solution. He tried to exterminate the Jewish people. It was an attempt at genocide. Is Israel attempting a genocide against the Palestinians? Under any possible definition of genocide, it is not. The population of the Palestinian territories after the 1967 Six Days War was about 1.8 million people. It is now 5.8 million people. In just the past 20 years, the population of Gaza, the West Bank, the territories has nearly doubled. If Israel was attempting a genocide, they are really, really, really bad at it. The word has essentially lost all meaning. When leftists control language, they actually do control not just the narrative, but any potential for debating said narrative. Well, you would dare to stand up with the genocidal maniacs in Israel? Question from the peanut gallery. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry, I can't use that phrase. Doesn't the Hamas charter have as its stated mission the destruction of Israel and the killing of Jewish people? Oh, nope. Israel's committing genocide. Language is incredibly powerful. And when you have, as part of the power over language, the power to dole out consequences, as clearly Children's Wisconsin does. If you organize a staff picnic and the DEI administrator catches wind of it, could you face consequences for using the phrase picnic, even if you have no earthly idea what it means? Even if you know the actual origin of the word is pique-nique, it's from French, it has nothing to do with lynching of black people, would you be able to get in trouble because of Children's Wisconsin's imagined definition, imagined origin of the word picnic? This is liberals literally inventing reality. I found 4 examples, minimum, of words not having offensive origins, not having anything to do with racism, but rather a DEI administrator who wrote this down like an 8th grader, saying, no, I am imbuing these words with the language of the colonizers and the oppressors. And a number of people on our AdventNows.com talk and text line very astutely pointed out, isn't that kind of racist in itself? If you are so hyper-focused on race that you are literally inventing definitions to make innocuous words racist, doesn't that just sort of prove that you're hyper-conscious and hyper-focused about race and racial differences? Do you think anyone in the history of the word picnic has ever used the phrase, hey, let's have a romantic picnic in the park, and as part of that, let's go lynch a black person? How many people in this audience have gotten engaged on a picnic? Did you bring a noose along with the engagement ring? I'm guessing you did not. How many people would possibly think of hip, hip, hooray as part? Who even knew about the 1819 German Hep Hep riots? I didn't. And I study history. I had no idea this thing existed. Tipping point. Oh, yes. Everybody uses the phrase tipping point to refer to white flight and racial segregation. No, tipping point is a concept in physics, in science. angry. If you use angry to describe one person, it's fine. But if you use the word angry to describe someone else, it's not. What kind of madness is this? The word articulate. I'd like to think I'm relatively well-spoken and articulate. If you call me articulate, that's fine. But if you call another talk show, how about this? My good friend James T. Harris just had a nice long phone conversation with my boy James. Oh, excuse me. I can't say that because James is black. My buddy James had a nice long conversation. If you call him articulate, and he is a longtime talk show host, of course, Milwaukee audiences are familiar with him. He's now working in Phoenix, Arizona, doing very, very well. If you call him articulate, it's problematic. But if you call me articulate because you just assume, who assumes that a black person is not going to be able to speak eloquently other than someone who is kind of racist? I am floored by the idiocy that is tolerated in institutions like Children's Wisconsin. I suppose I shouldn't be too surprising given their policy on gender mutilation surgeries, but alas.
If you love football information and think you can profit from it, listen to the Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest, Thursdays in the 5 o'clock hour. Mark and Mike Merlette from American Sports Analysts look at pro and college games. Plus, one listener gets to pick a game against a spread or an over-under number for a chance to win $100.
The Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest is presented by Holiday Automotive of Fond du Lac. 6 automotive brands all in one place. It's worth the trip. HolidayAutomotive.com.
Hey, it's Dan O'Donnell. You hear me talk all the time about just how great Mander Collision and Glass is. Here's customer Zachary, who just stopped into Mander's brand new location in Muskego. I've hardly been taken care of like this by any business. When I asked my friends and family where I should take my car to be serviced, they told me that Mander Collision in Muskego had done excellent work for them and that I shouldn't settle for any other shop. They were right. I'm beyond overjoyed with not only my car, but the professionalism and kindness of the staff. I felt like family. When I looked at my finished vehicle, I immediately noticed the quality paintwork. As someone who knows about painting, it was beyond belief. It's interesting to read the other reviews and think about how many other people in our community have been treated like this by the kind people at Mander. Thanks for sharing your story, Zachary. That's why I always say Mander Collision truly is your best decision after a collision.
I'm Benefit Company's Kurt Otto. INET is a knowledgeable, enthusiastic, innovative, creative, focused, true genius, an expert at branding business visually and telling your story, making potential new business make contact.
Your marketing guru or web developer can't do what INET does, maximizing your business profitability. Just like you can't keep up with regulations and see all opportunity to maximize business efficiencies like your in-source benefit companies will. ConnectandSimplify.com.
CreativeGeniusMarketing.com. INET-web.com.
Set your game plan for a new baseball season with the 2024 Brewers 4-Pack. Don't wait. Get yours by November 27th and get a 5th game added to your plan for free. That's 4 action-packed plan choices, your first chance at the best seats, and a bonus Brewers game free for early buyers. Plus, each pair of a 4-pack comes with a Brewers knit hack. Act now and get this limited time offer at brewers.com/4packs.
Need help choosing a fireplace? Call the Fireplace, offering in-stock products, vast showrooms, and helpful staff for homeowners and contractors alike. Visit us at AmericanHeritageFireplace.com for locations and hours.
Jay Weber here. In today's fast-paced world, getting to the bottom of a problem cannot happen fast enough, especially when it involves your physical health. There's no time for pain or weakness. This is where Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin's Ortho ASAP clinics come to the rescue. If you're experiencing any sort of bone, joint, or muscle problem, walk right in and be seen by an orthopedic specialist trained specifically to treat these conditions. Their website is orthowisconsin.com. The Ortho ASAP clinics are located at both the Pewaukee and Brookfield Square locations. locations and are a lower cost, higher quality alternative to the traditional emergency room or urgent care. You'll be sure to be seen by an experienced orthopedic specialist who's surrounded by a staff that is trained to provide you with the best possible care. Also, their Ortho ASAP clinics are housed where they have on-site x-ray, physical therapy, and MRI capabilities to help with your care all right there. You can learn more at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. There are a lot of great dads out there. Sometimes those dads get divorced. For more than 30 years, we have represented men in divorce, confronting the pitfalls that could devastate your finances or harm your family relationships. While every situation is different, our goal is to get the best outcome for you and your kids. Visit CordellCordell.com to take the first step.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Milwaukee attorneys. 111 East Kilbourne Avenue, Suite 1650, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202.
Attorney Tom Grieve here for Divergent Family Law. Many divorce lawyers set the divorce stage as a cage match, fight of your life. They make money off your misery. The quality of your attorney and Wisconsin law have greater impact on your divorce decree than fighting will. Divergent Family Law is the right firm for your soul and finances. Transitioning to your own life path doesn't have to mean doing as much damage possible to everyone involved. Divergent Family Law, separate and equal, or better. DivergentFamilyLaw.com.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
Coming up next hour, oral arguments today on whether Wisconsin's maps are rigged. In the immortal words of new Justice Janet Protasewicz, we will discuss that. Plus, an everyday hero in Waukesha helps save a woman from an armed carjacking. Very, very cool story as well. Hard Truth Tuesday on the way. In addition to all of that, first, though, time to name the unhinged liberal of the day.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany. Make me crazy.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil.
America is over.
What have I been focusing on all hour? The attempts to change language in order to indoctrinate, in order to control narratives. What's the holiday that the entire country is celebrating in 2 days? Thanksgiving, right? Wrong. It's Truth's Giving. Truth's Giving. You can't tell the whitewashed history of Thanksgiving, so leftists across the country, they even have their own website, truthsgiving.org. It is a celebration of indigenous culture and history with the tagline, "The truth will not be whitewashed." As it's described on its website, Truth's Giving is an ideology that must be enacted through truth-telling and mutual aid to discourage colonized ideas about the Thanksgiving mythology, not a name switch, so we can keep doing the same thing. It's about telling and doing the truth on this day so we can stop dangerous stereotypes and whitewashed history from continuing to harm indigenous lands and peoples, as well as Black, Latinx, Asian American, and all oppressed folks in America. The people behind Truth's Giving, your unhinged liberals of the day. I was just made aware of this last night, that this thing actually existed. It is online. It is Truth's Giving. Speaking of Truth's Giving, Rush Limbaugh's classic monologue, The Real Story of the First Thanksgiving, this comes directly from the governor of Plymouth Colony, William Bradford's diary. We have the audio. It's going to be played tomorrow, probably 10:15, 10:20, somewhere in there. It's one of my favorite traditions tomorrow morning. We will be back, 10 o'clock hour, coming up next.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good morning, I'm Ted Allen. Wisconsin's Supreme Court will hear arguments to redraw the state's political maps today. Several Democrats and progressive groups in the state want the new liberal majority Supreme Court to toss out the current maps because they favor Republicans, saying the maps are gerrymandered and unfair. Republican lawmakers say the request goes too far because it would also undo the 2022 elections for state Senate and force more than a dozen lawmakers to run again next fall. The case is being closely watched, not just because Wisconsin is a swing state, but because newly elected Justice Janet Protasiewicz faced calls to recuse herself because of what she said about the maps during last year's Supreme Court election. 2 people are behind bars after Waukesha police say they used a shotgun to steal someone's car. That carjacking happened Sunday evening on Southwest Avenue. Police say a pair of suspects used a shotgun and physical force to take the car. After the carjacking, there was a police chase. Officers say the suspects hit 3 Waukesha police cars and a sheriff's office squad car. Investigators say the 2 who don't live in Waukesha are suspects in several other crimes as well. Multiple news reports quoting Hamas and Israeli officials this morning outlined a possible truce deal that would include a ceasefire, as well as the freedom of at least 50 Israeli and international hostages, along with Palestinian women and children detained in Israel. Hamas's leader said this morning the group is close to a truce agreement. Checking the WISN Sports scoreboard after winning their 5th straight game in Washington last night, the Bucks next travel to Boston for a Thanksgiving Eve game with the Celtics tomorrow night. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen, News Talk 1130 WISN.
The news is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services and host of the Designer Yard Show. I want to share a landscaping secret with you. Winter is when our ornamental trees and shrubs need us most. We all know that plants need pruning, but why in the winter? Well, first, we can see their structure best when the leaves have fallen. And second, pruning is not so stressful when your plants are dormant. Pruning is affordable and makes a huge impact on the vitality and beauty of your trees and shrubs. So prune this winter and have gorgeous flowers next spring and summer. Pruning also helps keep your plants properly sized. No more dancing around them on the sidewalk or wrestling through them to wash your windows. Call today and schedule a complimentary evaluation of your ornamental plants. Our plant care experts will make sure your trees, shrubs, and perennials perform and look their best. Discover the wonders of nature. Call Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services at 262-392-3444 or look for us online at seasonalservices.com.
Packers head to the Motor City in a Thanksgiving matchup with the Lions. Kickoff at 11:30 on Milwaukee's home for the Packers. 97.3 The Game.
Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Rain potential continues throughout the morning, then begins to taper off by the early afternoon. High temps struggle to get to the low 40s with mostly cloudy skies. Tonight, skies start clearing on up. We'll notice more sunshine, especially by Wednesday afternoon. By tomorrow, highs mid-40s. I'm Fox 6 meteorologist Eric Mangus.
This report is sponsored by Kowal Investment Group, the retirement specialists.
Legacy is as much about people as it is about money. I'm Jeff Kowal of Kowal Investment Group, the retirement specialist. Let us help you leave a legacy for the people who matter most. Give us a call at 262-522-4040 and listen Saturday at 10 a.m. to the Retirement Clinic.
So I came to Advent because I was experiencing recurrent sinus infections. As a new mom, it was really kind of difficult.
Many of our patients complain of sinus infections. The headaches, fatigue, and nasal stuffiness have a profound effect on their lives.
I just felt like your sickness starts affecting your energy level and, the things that you really enjoy doing. That really was a breaking point for me.
So Molly came to Advent. Abnormally tight sinuses and swollen turbinates led to simple breathing triangle solutions that ended up taking about 20 minutes in office. And very soon thereafter, she was breathing freely.
I'm just in awe at the amount of air that that I'm able to breathe in and out each night, and I haven't had a sinus infection since the procedure.
I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. When you breathe well, you do live better.
AdventNews.com.
Results may vary.
Getting ready to hunt? Make sure you're aware of baiting and feeding bans this season. Baiting and feeding leads deer to congregate unnaturally. If infected, these deer can spread diseases like chronic wasting disease to each other and endanger the herd's health. Baiting and feeding bans are active in most of Wisconsin's counties. Help keep Wisconsin's deer herd healthy. For more information on your area, visit dnr.wi.gov and search baiting and feeding.
Do you have questions about Medicare? Let us help. Aetna has Medicare Advantage plans that include prescription drug coverage with a $0 monthly plan premium. Aetna plans also include essential programs like transportation, a healthy rewards program, fitness benefit, and more. Call Aetna today at 1-833-771-7542 to learn more. There's no obligation to enroll. One of our licensed agents will answer your call. Call today, 1-833-771-7542. Aetna Medicare is an HMO PPO plan with Medicare contract. Our DSNPs also have contracts with state Medicaid programs. Enrollment in our plans depends on contract renewal. Plan features and availability may vary by service area.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. If you're a dad who is facing divorce, there are extra layers of stress that may include stereotypes and assumptions. No two situations are the same. Our legal experience and dedication prepare us for whatever legal challenges we face together. You need a partner you can count on. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has represented men in divorce.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Milwaukee attorneys. 111 East Kilbourne Avenue, Suite 1650, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53202.
When you're due for tire service, visit richlawns.com for the location nearest you.
We'll give you a free flat tire repair on every tire we install. No questions asked. I'm Brett Matchke with Rich Lawns. You're due for service.
Rich Lawns.
Be sure to listen to the Annex Wealth Management Investment Show Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on News Talk 1130 WISN. Annex provides its expertise to arm listeners with the knowledge and tools to invest wisely. Annex Wealth Management. Know the difference.
You love her twice as much today as the day you married her, right?
Welcome to Kessler's.
Wisconsin Badger basketball.
The championship game of the Fort Myer tip-off. Badgers take on SMU Wednesday night. Coverage starts at 6:30, tip at 7:30 on 97.3 The Game.
It's Thanksgiving. We're gonna have a good time. It's Thanksgiving. We are gonna have a good time. Make the turkey, eggs, potatoes, eggs. We are gonna have a good time. Make the turkey, eggs, potatoes, eggs. It's Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving.
If watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is part of your Thanksgiving traditions, be on the lookout for the Greendale Marching Band. The 19-time state champions will perform. One of just 6 high school bands performing in the parade. Congratulations to the directors and, of course, all of the musicians for such an incredible honor. We here in Southeast Wisconsin, everyone in Wisconsin, I think, is incredibly proud of you, and we know you are going to absolutely kill it. Believe it or not, the phrase "kill it" is not on Children's Wisconsin's list of banned phrases that it put out as part of a DEI handout. Yes, I am going to be doing a print version of this story. I'm hoping to hear back from Children's Wisconsin before I do. I fully expect that this list is going to go viral as soon as I do. I'm assuming Fox News is going to pick up on it because, let's face it, angry is now a banned word. Picnic? Come on. Unfortunately, it might be a while because I am going to be on Newsmax starting right after this here radio show ends at 11 o'clock Central Time. I'm going to be the featured guest on the John Bachman Show. At least now I know what to expect. I'm going to be on pretty much throughout the entire show. And then if you haven't gotten sick of me yet, I will be on after that show, doing a hit at about 12:20 p.m. on Newsline. So, Overdose of Dan on Newsmax. A reminder, we are accepting submissions right now. for the 2023 Dan O'Donnell Show Family Christmas Special Thanksgiving weekend. The perfect time to record your kids singing a Christmas song, playing a Christmas song on their musical instrument. Heck, if they want to play a Hanukkah song too, we'd love to hear that. It's Christmas, but we are diverse and inclusive here. Bonus points if they play Adam Sandler's The Hanukkah Song. We might have to edit it a little if they sing it. They want to do dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. Heck yeah, we want to hear it. We want to hear your kids. Last year, I'm telling you, I had a smile on my face through the entire month of December. I looked forward to opening up my email every single morning because invariably there would be a performance or two from a little boy or girl I would show my kids. They just loved watching. My daughter Gracie, she's 9 years old now. She was 8 last year. She absolutely loved watching other kids. And she would say, "Hey, Daddy, we got to put this one first. Daddy, I love this one." So it has become just a whole lot of fun for the O'Donnell family to sift through and compile the Dan O'Donnell Show Family Christmas Special. Yes, my kids are going to be playing their violins, my nieces, my nephew playing their pianos. I assume. I know my one niece, Ellie, told me in about mid-July what song she was working on to play for the Christmas special. So, you know, she's excited. Not quite sure about my 16-year-old son. I'm not sure he wants his buddies knowing he plays the violin. We are going to have his violin group play, and they're just incredible musicians. It's called the Barcel Suzuki String Academy Brioso Group. I heard them rehearsing about a week ago, and they just sound incredible. These kids are just so talented. If you're a choir director, if you're a school band director, a marching band, an orchestra director, and you want to submit your kids, we would absolutely love to hear it. We would love to have those submissions. The submission does need to come from a choir or band director, though, moms, dads. Just for legal reasons, we need to have someone who's actually in charge of the group submit to us. We also do need a parent or a grandparent to submit for the kids. All you need to do is take a video, record a voice memo. It can be an audio recording. It can be a video. It doesn't matter. We will accept either. We do request that you keep your submissions to 2 minutes or under because we anticipate getting a ton of entries. Believe it or not, Dave, I've been talking about this for a couple days. time I hear it. I had to go through an old file I'm like, where is the Christmas special theme? And as soon as I found it, I'm like, oh, folks, it is a ton of work. I'm not going to lie. Producer Dave, like the week before Christmas, when I put the show together, I'm working probably 14-hour days to put this thing together. But it is a labor of love. I love it. It is going to be premiering 9 a.m. Friday, December 22nd, right here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. It is then going to air throughout Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I believe we play it 3 times Christmas Eve, 3 times Christmas Day. I'm going to see if I can sneak it in a couple of times over Christmas weekend when we normally are playing Fox Sports Radio or something like that. Yahoo. I don't even know what radio we play on the weekend. No, I know, but the 22nd, Friday, Saturday, is that all paid for programs, or can I usurp one? All right. What if we just don't tell Dave Spano that his show is being preempted for Christmas? Should I text him? Should I just be like, yo, man, you're canceled on December 22nd for the kids. It's for the kids. What about Redefined Realty? Tarantino wouldn't mind, would he? No, I'm teasing. Those guys, I always love bumping into them when they're recording their Saturday shows. All right. Are the maps rigged? Let's ask Supreme Court Justice Janet Protasewicz.
So let's be clear here. The maps are rigged, bottom line. Absolutely, positively rigged. They do not reflect the people in this state. They do not reflect accurately representation, neither the state assembly or the state senate. They are rigged, period. I'm coming right out and saying that. I don't think you could sell to any reasonable person that the maps are fair.
Does this sound like a justice who is going to open-mindedly listen to oral arguments today? In fact, a group of leftists, led by none other than Minocqua Brewing Company owner Kirk Bangstad, are asking the Wisconsin Supreme Court to toss out the legislative maps. They are challenging only odd-numbered state Senate district maps, however. Now, why do you suppose this would be? Because those Senate districts were just elected in 2022. The way we do this is you have 4-year terms, so you've got 50% of state senators elected in, say, 2022 in a gubernatorial election year, and 50% in, there's 33, so you get the idea, 16 in one, 17 in another. Odd number, even number. The other half elected in a presidential election year. With the state assembly, those elections are every 2 years, so everyone is up. What these plaintiffs want is to have all of the state senators who were just elected in 2022 have to run again in 2024, essentially putting the entire state legislature up for grabs in less than a year. If it sounds audacious, if it sounds completely unworkable, it totally 1,000% is. In fact, what they're asking for in what's known as an original jurisdiction action is something that the Wisconsin Supreme Court is not at all set up to do. The reason we have an appellate court system in this country is that at the trial court level, that is where you have findings of fact. You have a jury or a judge can, in a bench trial, decide fact. Appellate courts don't determine fact. They are not finders of fact. They are arbiters of the law. Now, if that sounds like a distinction without a difference, let me explain a little further. So at trial, let's say there is a dispute about producer Dave and I get into a fight, right? And I punch him. There's a dispute about whether Dave actually threw the first punch and I acted in self-defense. That would be a finding of fact that's appropriate for a trial court level. Would Dave and I go to the Wisconsin Supreme Court with this original action? No. Why? Because the Supreme Court is not set up to be an arbiter of fact. Let's say I am acquitted on a novel application of Wisconsin's self-defense law. Let's say for the first time ever, a court buys my Dave is a terrible producer defense, and I was justified in punching him. Dave's throwing his hands up and being like, yeah, that's true. Truth is a defense. What Dave could then do is appeal to, or the state could appeal to the appellate court, the Wisconsin Court of Appeals. They wouldn't rule on the finding of fact, whether Dan punched Dave. They would make, so what we would do is we would make arguments to the Court of Appeals. And they would rule on whether or not the Dave is a terrible producer law is actually valid, if it's constitutional. Dave could then appeal his case to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, which would again rule on whether the Dave is a terrible producer law is valid law. What the plaintiffs are asking for here is a finding of fact. It would require a trial. It would require, in fact, a very lengthy trial to determine, unless, of course, the plaintiffs are simply asking the Supreme Court to act as essentially a super legislature and just issue a decree, okay, those maps are wrong, here's our maps that we decide are fair instead. This is what leftists have wanted forever. Court-drawn maps which are totally neutral, they're totally fair. They're not. Any map that is written by a human being, even maps that are drawn by algorithms or artificial intelligence, operate on political assumptions, and they will therefore have political biases. All people have political biases. What the plaintiffs are asking for is essentially a do-over of the 2022 Senate elections, something that to me is grossly unconstitutional and should be laughed out of court. You were just elected to a 4-year term, not a 2-year term. You don't get a do-over because Rob Hutton won a state Senate seat. I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. But this is what they're asking for. Now there's a question of why they're going for an original action, which is totally inappropriate. Do you think the Wisconsin Supreme Court could spend the next 6 to 7 months, and that's how long, I'm not going to say 6 to 7 months, certainly 2 months. Do you know how many exhibits, do you know how many arguments would be made, how many pieces of evidence on a maps case? It would be incredibly, the Supreme Court is not set up for a trial. A Supreme Court hears oral arguments, they read briefs, and then they take a vote, and then they issue an opinion. This would require a massive finding of fact that the court is simply not set up to do. Again, unless, as I said, the aim is to just get a ruling based on nothing more than 4 liberal hacks in black robes like Janet Protasewicz just want to do whatever it is that they want to do politically. Now, there is also a question about why it was that the plaintiffs brought an original action. This clearly should have been first brought to a trial court and then have the decision work its way through the state court system. Original jurisdiction, the reason for original jurisdiction does not apply here. There needs to be a specific set of requirements for the court to take up an original action. Judge shopping is unsurprisingly not one of those reasons. The widespread belief is that these plaintiffs, remember, led by Kirk Bangstad of the Minocqua Brewing Company, the thinking is that they want these new maps in place for the 2024 election. They think, perhaps foolishly, given recent polling, that Donald Trump is going to lose and he's going to take down a whole bunch of Republicans with him. So they want every single Republican in the state standing for re-election. They think they can actually flip the state assembly and flip the state senate if they simply gerrymander the maps enough in the other direction. By the way, every single time that these maps have been challenged in federal court as an unconstitutional, unlawful gerrymander, they've lost. every single time, including most recently about a year and a half ago in March of 2022 when the United States Supreme Court ruled that it was Governor Evers' maps that in fact violated the 14th Amendment as a racial gerrymander. One of the plaintiffs' attorneys told the National Review last week, "We filed directly with the Wisconsin Supreme Court rather than the state circuit court because public school children are being irreparably..." Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting my two cases mixed up. This was not Bangstad's lawsuit. Boy, oh boy, I'm already on vacation here. That was the school choice case. They're making this original action. It wasn't Bangstad's group, but they're making the original action for the same reason that Kirk Bangstad was, that they're essentially judge shopping. That what they're doing is they're trying to get this before a court that they know is going to side with them. Bangstad, in the school choice case, actually came right out and said it. He said, in the spring of 2025, Ann Walsh Bradley's seat is up for re-election. There's no guarantee she's going to run for re-election. The court could switch back to conservative hands, and we wouldn't be able to do this. It's the exact same rationale here. You could argue that, in fact, there's a better chance for the state Supreme Court to have any sort of legitimacy in taking up the school choice case than it does the MAPS case, because this is something that has been essentially, I would argue it's a moot point. The United States Supreme Court has already weighed in saying the maps are just fine. Now they're challenging it on a state issue. It's a very kind of granular element of law that I don't want to get into because I would even bore myself talking about this. But the bottom line is that the idea here is a prior Supreme Court essentially violated separation of powers when it allowed for maps that Governor Evers had vetoed. This is an absolutely ridiculous legal argument. This would essentially invalidate the Wisconsin Supreme Court's ability to review decisions by the legislature and the governor. It would invalidate the court's power of judicial review, basically, is what I don't want to get into all the details surrounding that. Suffice it to say, though, that there is no way that the Wisconsin Supreme Court would actually be able to take this up. It does not have the manpower. It is not set up. No court of appeal, no appellate court is set up to hold a trial, let alone a state Supreme Court. But again, it's Janet Protasiewicz and 3 other liberals, so who knows what they're going to do. Dan O'Donnell Show coming back.
The Dan O'Donnell Show.
We'll be right back.
Hello, commercial customers. This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center, and it's end of the year tax planning season. We've continued to work hard sourcing over 400 of the best GM, Hino, and Isuzu commercial trucks from all over the country. Most are ready to go, and some are ready for your custom upfit. The best part? All of our trucks qualify for the Section 179 tax deduction for 2023. Now, I know you're busy running your business, but we've made it easy. Go to lynchtruckcenter.com, select your truck, and click on the green button on each truck page to instantly see potential tax savings. For example, if you buy a $50,000 truck at a 22% tax rate, you'll get $11,000 in potential tax savings. You can deduct 100% of the purchase price from your 2023 taxes. Essentially, the truck will only cost you $39,000. Remember, we are in the truck business, not accountants. So, be sure to verify these tax savings with your tax professional. Visit lynchtruckcenter.com today. We won't disappoint you.
Choose from countless luxury flooring options at Flawless Flooring's New Berlin or Delafield Idea Gallery. Flawless Flooring's employee-only installers beautify your everyday going forward right after eliminating carpet stains and stink. Sensory underload, Flawless Flooring, flawlessflooringllc.com.
Do you know or work with kids who have special healthcare needs? Help them live their best lives. Contact Wisconsin Wayfinder Children's Resource Network. Our specialists will connect you with services in your area. Wisconsin Wayfinder is free and confidential. Call 877-947-2929 or visit dhs.wi.gov/WISCWAY. Connect today. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
It's a month to give thanks, and it starts with Veterans Day and continues right through Thanksgiving. A fantastic time to check out the Sawmill Restaurant and Pub in Richfield. Just take the Holy Hill exit from Highway 41, turn west, and then take a right on Wolf Road. The Sawmill is just around the bend on your left.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
This time, a Harvard-Harris poll shows President Biden losing a hypothetical rematch to former President Donald Trump by a wide margin. Wide margin. What if I told you one of the reasons Biden might go down to defeat is menthol cigarettes? What? I guarantee you're saying, what are you talking about? Guess what? President Biden is trying to ban menthol cigarettes. It has been probably 20 years since I had a cigarette. I do remember hating the taste of menthol cigarettes. A lot of people like menthol cigarettes, those who still smoke instead of graduating to vaping or taking Zins or whatever it was that Tucker Carlson was popping at the event with the MacIver Institute a couple of weeks ago. I have research that shows Biden's core voters in key battleground states do not want menthol cigarette bans. Who typically smokes menthol cigarettes? Black voters, black people. I don't know why. There was a great bit, I think it was Black Jeopardy on the Chappelle Show. This had to be 20 years ago, where the question was, why do black people love menthol cigarettes? And the guy goes, I don't know. He goes, that is correct. No one knows. I don't know. But menthol cigarettes are apparently huge in the black community. I never got it. As weird as it was, I preferred the taste of a regular cigarette. Now, honest to goodness, just the smell of cigarette smoke kind of makes me nauseous, to be totally honest with you. 85% of Biden's black voters are concerned about the effects of a ban. Many more voters in battleground states wish Biden would focus on far more pressing issues. Biden's core coalition voters, now this is from a polling outfit called Brilliant Corners Research and Strategies that I had forwarded to me, which I thought was absolutely fascinating. Biden core coalition voters in key battleground states broadly oppose federal bans on menthol, cigarettes, flavored cigars, and nicotine in cigarettes. Most start off opposed to the menthol cigarette and flavored cigar bans. 54% opposed, just 38% support, and opposition grows significantly to 62% opposed, 32% support after considering outcomes and messaging. On a nicotine ban, these voters start off evenly divided, 45%, 45%, but end up decidedly opposed. 56% of them. Menthol cigarettes. Who knew? But this does go to show you that Biden does face a significant issue. And in fact, this Harvard-Harris poll showed, like previous polls, he's losing ground to Trump on younger voters. I can remember saying, okay, when the first poll in the summer showed, all right, Trump is really winning youth voters, I thought it was an outlier. And frankly, I still kind of do think that when all is said and done, the way that Democrats have been able to mobilize college voting and the way that they're able to simply target the 90% of voters on campus who are Democrats while leaving Republicans to their own devices, I think that is likely to be a moot point. But Democrats do face real problems when it comes to Black and Hispanic voters, especially who are gravitating towards the Republican Party and to Donald Trump. Ron DeSantis, for example, won a majority of Hispanic voters in Florida. And there are huge numbers, I don't think I need to tell you, of Hispanic voters in Florida. So it's not just a uniquely Trump phenomenon. It's that, and I think this is a long time coming. Honestly, I believe everybody should be a Republican. I believe everyone should be a conservative because my primary argument is Democrats and liberals are freaking crazy and do not deserve any modicum of power at any level, anywhere, anytime. But what we're seeing, I think, is a broader shift based on, well, what did we spend the first hour on? The insane DEI language of the progressive left at Children's Wisconsin, a facility that's performing gender mutilation surgery on kids and apparently is stonewalling our very own Mark Belling, who has filed open records requests seeking the number of surgeries that Children's Wisconsin has performed. Especially in the Black and Hispanic community, this sorts of insanity with respect to gender and the ever-increasing sexualization of younger and younger kids through what can only be described as pornographic, gender-themed books in kids' libraries, drag performances for children as young as 4 or 5 years old. It's alienated a whole lot of voters. The focus on the sexual stuff, the focus on this sort of culture war issues has, because remember, folks, in bigger percentages than white voters, Black and Hispanic voters are religious and church-going people. They still believe in a fundamental sense of morality independent from what our government betters tell us it should be. Ergo, there is room for growth within the Republican Party. And I think Democrats have sort of maxed out their support for, and this is not replacement theory, right? That they're trying to replace white voters with Hispanics at the southern border. What other possible reason could there be to import a new city full of people every 2 days in the southern border, if not to import more voters? And in fact, for 20 years, Democrats were saying exactly this. The idea of demographics equals destiny. Demographics is destiny. They wrote a book about it, for goodness sakes. Very influential in the early 2000s. And then they thought the Obama coalition of young, college-educated white people, along with Black voters and the ascendant Hispanic voters, would turn Texas blue, and there would be, and once that happens, there's no turning back. Well, guess what happened? Trump came along, very next election, and you had a whole lot of Hispanic and black voters voting against the excesses of the Obama administration and the sharp left turn. This isn't racial politics. This is politics 101. If Biden loses just a small percentage of black or Hispanic voters in critical battleground states, even if it's over something as silly, and we would think, oh, this is something silly. Imagine if you're a smoker. Imagine if you've been a smoker for 20 years. You should really quit. But imagine the federal government saying, okay, the cigarette you smoked for 20 years, you can't get anymore. That's something that matters to you, right? You know, I, as a 42-year-old, can't relate to abortion being the deciding factor in who I'm going to vote for because not planning on having any abortions. For a 22-year-old promiscuous leftist, male or female, who's too irresponsible to use birth control or a condom, having that emergency abortion is a major, major voting issue. It's potentially life-altering. You don't want to get pregnant. Now, I might think of it as kind of repugnant, actually, but that is what motivates voters. This poll is yet more evidence that what Democrats are doing is turning off even their hardest core constituencies, and it's not like they haven't done it before. White, working class, suburban, exurban, and more rural voters have fled the Democratic Party en masse. Western Wisconsin, now represented by a Republican, Derek Van Orden, after Ron Kind represented the area for, 20 years? Northern Wisconsin, Dave Obey represented the Northwoods for, I think, 50 years until Sensenbrenner passed him. He's the longest-serving congressman in the state's history. Now it's a Republican, Mike Gallagher. Tom Tiffany. Sean Duffy, then Tom Tiffany. Yeah, Gallagher, of course, represents the Green Bay area. Again, this is politics 101. If you keep telling that constituency by virtue of their skin color they're racist, they're going to turn on you. If you keep telling another constituency, well, you know, we really, really don't care about the fact that your schools are producing kids who can't read, we really want to shove them full of more sexualized content by the time they leave third grade. People will turn on you. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if it does, you will see a Trump or any other Republican victory, and it's going to be in large measure because of voter backlash to Biden and Democrat Party excesses. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show, conservative thought, not just talk.